The Widow's Plight. Today, we bring you another interesting story titled The Widow's Plight. It is indeed an interesting one. It tells us a story about what certain widow passed through in the hands of her brothers-in-law. Grab your popcorn and enjoy the story. Kindly support us by subscribing to our channel and also turn on the notification bell. Thank you for subscribing. Now let's proceed. In the heart of the Igbo village Amoji, there lived a young widow named Amoka. Life had been hard on her since the sudden death of her husband, Chek. Though Chek had not been wealthy, he had worked tirelessly to provide for his family, leaving behind a small plot of land, a modest house, and a few goats. He also left behind their only child, Ifenanya, a bright and curious girl of 10 years old. But grief was not Amoka's only burden. Chek's brothers, Uche and Obina, had barely waited for his grave to settle before circling like vultures. They wanted to claim Chek's land and possessions for themselves, ignoring the fact that Amoka and Ifenanya had no other means of survival. To them, Amoka was merely a woman, helpless, powerless, and without a voice in matters of inheritance. At first, Uche and Obina were subtle, visiting Amoka under the guise of helping her with Chek's affairs. They made small talk, offered advice, and hinted that they could manage the land better than she could. But when Amoka resisted, their patience waned. Soon, they were demanding that she hand over the deeds to the land and the house. They told her it was their right as men in the family to control the property, and that a woman could not handle such responsibilities on her own. Amoka was terrified. The entire village knew how influential Uche and Obina were, and no one dared to challenge them. She tried to reason with them, but their threats grew more aggressive. They told her she had until the end of the week to vacate the land and move into their family compound, or they would force her out themselves. Amoka prayed for a miracle, but she felt more alone than ever. Her husband's closest friends feared the brothers and distanced themselves from her. With Ifenanya by her side, she prepared herself for the inevitable, fearing that she would soon lose everything Chek had worked so hard to build. Then, one fateful afternoon, a stranger arrived in the village. His name was Nkem, and he was no ordinary man. He wasn't a traveler or a mystic, but a wealthy and well-connected businessman from the bustling city of Lagos. Tall and dignified, Nkem's sharp eyes and commanding presence made him stand out immediately. He had come to the village for reasons of his own, but when he heard of Amoka's plight, he felt compelled to intervene. Nkem had once known Chek in their youth. Though their paths had diverged, Chek had helped him when he had been at his lowest, and Nkem had never forgotten it. Hearing of Chek's death and the troubles that followed, Nkem decided it was time to repay that old debt. One evening, Nkem made his way to Amoka's house. He found her sitting outside, staring off into the distance, her face etched with worry. Nkem greeted her kindly, introducing himself as an old acquaintance of her late husband. Amoka, though cautious, welcomed him in. Over dinner, Amoka shared her story, her voice trembling as she spoke of Uche and Obina's threats. Nkem listened carefully, his expression serious but thoughtful. When she finished, he said, "I will help you, Amoka. Your husband's memory will not be dishonored by these men." The next morning, Nkem wasted no time. Using his connections in the city, he contacted a prominent lawyer and made arrangements to challenge Uche and Obina's claims to the land. It wasn't just about wealth. Nkem had friends in high places, and he knew how to navigate the legal and political systems that the brothers could never hope to understand. In a matter of days, Nkem's legal team had assembled evidence proving that Chek had left his property to Amoka in his will, a document the brothers had likely assumed did not exist. Nkem also arranged for a visit from a powerful local official, someone who had influence over the elders of Amoji and could ensure that the brothers could not strong-arm their way to victory through local customs alone. On the day of the confrontation, Nkem accompanied Amoka to the village square. The whole village had gathered to witness what they expected would be a heated battle. Uche and Obina stood with smug confidence, convinced that Amoka had no power to resist them. But when Nkem stepped forward with the lawyer and the official by his side, the brothers' confidence faltered. The official addressed the crowd, reminding them that while tradition was important, the law also had its place, and in this case, the law was clear: Amoka was the rightful owner of the land and property. Uche and Obina protested angrily, but their words fell on deaf ears. The official silenced them with a stern warning: if they continued to harass Amoka, they would be dealt with by the law. Nkem, who had remained silent up to this point, then spoke. Chek was a good man, Nkem said, his voice calm but filled with authority. He worked hard for what he left behind. Amoka and Ifunanya deserved to live in peace, without fear. If you dare threaten them again, you will not only answer to the law but to me. The brothers, realizing they were outmatched and outmaneuvered, retreated, their tails between their legs. The crowd murmured in awe, both of the officials' authority and of Nkem's quiet power. No one had ever stood up to Uche and Obina like that, and certainly not a widow like Amoka. From that day forward, Amoka lived in peace. With Nkem's support, she was able to secure her land and her home, and no one in the village ever questioned her ownership again. Uche and Obina stayed far away, their influence shattered, and the village saw them for the greedy, cowardly men they truly were. As for Nkem, he did not stay long in Amoji after the matter was settled. But before he left, he made sure that Amoka and Ifunanya would never be left without support again. He gave them the means to maintain the land and even helped Ifunanya secure a place in a good school in the city. Amoka never forgot the stranger who had come to her aid in her darkest hour. To her, Nkem was more than just a man, he was a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, there could always be hope. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more of these stories. Thank you once again.